Chris Columbus is here. For the past decade, he's been regarded as the billion-dollar director. He had blockbusters such as Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire, but he raised the bar last year when he directed Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It earned $967 million at the box office, making it the second highest grossing film of all time.
Every day was a memorable moment because every day as a director, you're on these incredible sets. So you walk into the Great Hall one day, you walk into the Chamber of Secrets, and as a director, it's the greatest playground in the world.
It might come as a shock to Harry Potter fans around the world, but Chris Columbus, the beloved director of Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, is stepping down.
Chris Columbus is saying goodbye to the Potter films.
In recent news, after directing first Harry Potter movies, famed director Chris Columbus will be stepping aside.
In 2002, after directing billion-dollar box offices for the first two installments of the Harry Potter series, Chris Columbus quit. And the question for many remains, why? Columbus's choice was one that almost no Hollywood director would make given the opportunity to continue a franchise as successful as Harry Potter. But while it may seem to some like the foolish decision of a man overwhelmed in his prime, it was a choice that defined exactly why Columbus was so successful in the first place. Why he was able to rule the chaotic world of megafilms featuring child actors, and why he is known as almost every Harry Potter fan's favorite director. But wait, we need to rewind, because in order to understand why Columbus left, we first need to acknowledge how he came into the role in the first place. After all, in a film that J.K. Rowling required only British actors for, why hire an American director? It's important to remember that Chris Columbus wasn't a no-name in Hollywood. His writing credits included blockbusters like Gremlins and Goonies, and he had Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire among his directing credits. Plus, his hands were in about a dozen other projects, solidifying himself as a household name in Hollywood by his mid-30s. But while he jumped at the opportunity to take on Home Alone years prior, a project like Harry Potter required some convincing.
Well, my daughter Eleanor constantly said, "Dad, you've got to read this book." And I said, "No, I don't want to read it. It's a kid's book. I don't have any interest in that."
That I'm not interested in this kind of book. I want to read Grapes of Wrath.
And my daughter Eleanor, she kept nagging at me saying, "Read it, Dad, you've got to read it."
I was full of myself, and finally I read the book.
Sat down and read the first 3 books.
I read it and I realized it was so much more than a children's book. It just was so inspirational and so touching.
I saw the film in my head, and I said, I have to make this film. I have to make this into a film.
But just because he had some big credits didn't make him a shoo-in for the job. As it turns out, Warner Brothers was looking at another director for the Harry Potter series.
So I called my agent and I said, "I think this is a movie I would love to direct."
My agent says, "Yeah, well, so would every other director in town, including Steven Spielberg, who's probably going to do it."
I called my agent and found out that Steven Spielberg also had the same idea, and he was toying with it at the time. So I said to her, "I don't want to think about it."
So I said, "Okay, I'll forget about it."
If Spielberg's going to do it, it's not even a possibility.
3 months later, for some reason, Spielberg dropped out.
So I didn't think about it for about 6 weeks, and then he passed.
However, after an unexpected turn of events, Spielberg withdrew his name from the race, and Warner Brothers was left to look for a new man behind the camera. Columbus, seeing this golden opportunity, deployed one of the greatest tactics in Hollywood business, mixed with a good amount of hard work. Telling his agent to make sure that he got the last meeting, Columbus got to work writing up a director's script based on Steve Klove's top-secret screenplay, which, by the way, was definitely against the rules, as the directors being interviewed were explicitly told to not make copies of the script. But Columbus threw caution to the wind, knowing that he had to have this job at any cost.
It was some sort of bake-off. There were about 8 to 10 other directors also interested. So I said to my agent, "Make sure that I'm the last meeting."
Make sure I get the last meeting.
I said to my agent, "I want to be the last person that they interview."
I remember getting the script in the mail, and I went to the computer, and I started rewriting it.
And I spent 8 days rewriting the script.
What I did is I wrote a director's version.
But I wanted them to see visually how I would do it.
Then he showed up to his interview, handed over his director's script free of charge, and told them that it's the kind of work they could expect if they hired him.
I put the script down. I said, I've rewritten the script, free of charge. So I just wanted you guys to see what I would do with the movie.
No one else in Hollywood would do this.
I wouldn't get paid for this, but I wanted them to see what sort of passion I had.
And a couple weeks later, Chris got the job.
When I first got the job, I had 20 seconds of euphoria and then nothing but terror, knowing that if you fail, you can probably never make another film. And I was in that moment of terror.
Very quickly, it became apparent to Chris that his new job would be all-consuming. And at the time, that was exactly what he was looking for. After running his ideas past J.K. Rowling and getting her stamp of approval, he was ready to move on and complete the screenplay with Steve Kloves, the accomplished director and writer who was responsible for adapting Rowling's iconic story. Then began the practical work. Chris Columbus set out to establish a foundational visual language for the Wizarding world that remained grounded in Rowling's text while providing cinematic longevity. Working alongside production designer Stuart Craig, he developed a golden storybook aesthetic, defined by candlelit warmth and a sense of inviting magic. However, these architectural choices were more than just aesthetic. They were functional necessities for a multi-film saga. Columbus and Craig designed Hogwarts with a latent structural integrity, knowing the tone would darken as the narrative progressed. The sets had to feel beautiful for the first installment, but possess enough grit and antiquity to withstand the plunging into darkness that followed. This foresight transformed the castle into a living character, ensuring its eventual destruction in the final films carried genuine emotional weight. But maintaining this vision required surviving the relentless production machine of the early 2000s. And initially, Chris Columbus was all in. After all, this is what every director dreams of, right? Warner Brothers mandated a new installment every November, forcing a timeline that functioned more like an industrial factory than a standard film set. Columbus spent 160 days shooting the first film, only to pivot 3 days after its release in November into another 160-day shoot for the sequel.
Sorcerer's Stone opened on Friday. And that following Monday, we started shooting Chamber of Secrets. So we had the premiere, they did Jay Leno and David Letterman, and suddenly, boom, Monday morning we're back on the Harry Potter set.
To meet those aggressive release dates, Columbus was forced into a grueling double shift. This meant 10 to 12 hours on set with hundreds of child actors, followed by immediate transitions into evening editing sessions. It was a punishing routine, but it was incredibly fulfilling. But this hard work and dedication to the physical sets, CGI, and writing wasn't what set Columbus apart. There was a reason why he thrived in these environments when other directors would have failed. While some might complain about having to deal with hundreds of children who had never acted before, Columbus saw it as a golden opportunity to not only mold these children into what the story needed, but to create a genuine family on set.
Chris was in the Great Hall with about 350 children. If one came up and talked to him, he would automatically just sit down as though he'd known them all his life.
I don't think I would have been able to do it if I didn't have a guy like him starting me off.
He has helped us through the whole entire film. I feel like I've learned so much through the acting experience.
I don't know how he does it. If I was him and I have 100 kids running around, I just flip. But he's kept his cool all the way down and he's really nice with everyone.
You know, if we come onto the first two films and the director had been horrible, I don't think any of us ever would have acted again.
Chris Columbus is wonderful. He's magic with those children. He's so patient. He's so understanding. They love him. He loves kids.
That's excellent, guys. Really good focus.
He's managed to kind of unite us as if we're one huge family now. It's amazing.
Chris Columbus is an incredible filmmaker, no doubt. But his superhero trait when working on the Harry Potter films wasn't his artistic vision behind the camera. It was his ability to harness the raw talent and energy of young actors, specifically those with a little to no experience. As he has said himself many times, the beauty of working with children is that they come in with no preconceptions, training, or entourage. They are the best kind of blank slate. They are excited and filled with joy.
I like working with kids because they're very honest, very real. They're not concerned about their trainers or their trailers or there's not an entourage, at least at this point, around these kids, and it's great. It's great to see. They're very down-to-earth good kids.
And this isn't something Columbus took for granted. After all, many directors of children's movies and TV shows have left the young actors worse off than before due to neglect and abuse. But Columbus took on a much different approach. He took on the role of family. After all, his inspiration behind taking this job was his daughter, who even makes a cameo in the first films. And he knew that his greatest critics wouldn't be studio execs, they would be children. The millions of children who had fallen in love with J.K. Rowling's story, and who were expecting their dreams to come to life on screen.
And there was a tremendous amount of pressure If I made a film that didn't connect with audiences and didn't work, I probably wouldn't work again. Definitely a career killer if I screwed up.
Therefore, Chris created an environment on set that embraced the fun, the excitement, and the energy that the kids brought each and every day. Instead of stamping it out, this essence was the fuel that kept Columbus going through the slog of 300+ days of production. And this was the very tangible magic that translated directly onto the big screen. The first two Harry Potter films are the reason why we got the rest of the series. The immense pressure that was on Chris Columbus and the whole crew threatened to tear down this franchise before it ever got off the ground. After the release of The Sorcerer's Stone and a $900 million box office, it looked like Columbus had caught lightning in a bottle. But can you catch lightning twice? If your name is Chris Columbus, I guess the answer is yes. Because in an industry where sequels are notoriously risky, Chamber of Secrets posted an $880 million box office just a year later. And while it looked like Chris Columbus was locked in for another 8 years of production to finish out the series, things took a sudden turn. Sometimes your greatest character trait can also turn into your greatest character flaw. And it usually takes quite a high level of maturity and wisdom to recognize it before it does too much damage. The reality for Chris Columbus is that the pressure he put on himself and the time he was spending forming a family with the Harry Potter cast and crew, which is undoubtedly what served as the basis for the film's massive success, is also the reason he had to withdraw from the remainder of the series. You see, while hanging out with Dan, Emma, and Rupert, young Eleanor at home, the very reason he was in this role in the first place was not seeing so much of her dad.
Yeah, I thought I was going to stay for all 7 initially, and then each film was 160 days back to back, so basically after 320 days of shooting, I could barely form a sentence, having realized how exhausting directing the first 2 was. You know, physically, mentally, not seeing my family. I thought at the time I'm going to do all 7 movies. Exhausted after 2, 320 steady days of shooting will do that.
I'm going to be taking a bit of a break, and that'll be a good thing. It'll just be good to not dream about it constantly. I think I'll miss probably the interaction I have day to day with the kids. You know, the fact that we work so closely together and we have a sort of acting company at this point. But at the same time, I have to see my own kids for dinner. And I think that's important as well. You know, it's been 2.5 years since I've had dinner with my family during the week, and I think I owe it to them.
So, at the height of his career, with an almost guaranteed opportunity to direct the remaining Harry Potter films, as well as earn millions of dollars, Chris stepped aside. But this isn't a story of regret or of a family torn apart by greed. This is quite the opposite. In fact, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the very reason Chris stepped away is also the same reason he was perfect for the first 2 Harry Potter films. The ability to lead with love, passion for the project, and create a family among the cast and crew is ultimately what earned him massive success within the industry. And his daughter, who put him onto the Harry Potter series? Today, she's a partner with him in their production firm, Maiden Voyage Pictures. As for the rest of the Harry Potter series, Chris stayed on as a producer to help ease everybody into the new directors and maintain part of the original vision. After all, much of the cast and crew were hesitant to have someone else step in and take over.
When Chris made the decision to not direct the 3rd film, it was sad actually. Sad and a little bit scary, because you wonder, okay, are people going to be interested in coming in to direct a sequel? How will they feel with not having created the world?
But this compromise of being a producer helped Chris stay within the wizarding world without the demanding hours or production schedule that kept him from home for the first 2 films.
I didn't do the 3rd Harry Potter film because I wanted to spend some time with my family, and I needed some time off. I knew I couldn't give those actors the same amount of intensity and energy that I had given them on the first 2 films. I had to drop out. I really did. As a director, I'm a producer on the film, but being a producer is a completely different situation. You have to sit back and watch a director do your job, and that can be extremely exciting. I happen to have a terrific director doing the 3rd film, Alfonso Cuarón, loving what I'm seeing him do every day.
While I'm sure Chris missed being behind the camera, I think to this day, he holds firm that he made the right choice, no matter how much fame, status, or money was left on the table. Sometimes the most important magic isn't found on a movie set or inside of a script. but in the quiet, everyday moments that money and fame can't buy back. And while Chris might have missed out on a few more billion-dollar box office records, he traded that in for a currency that we are all so desperately chasing after: time.